Good morning, grades 7 and 8. Today we've got another fractions lesson for you. I think we can get through this one fairly quickly today, even though there is a little bit of modeling. I think much of the modeling is pretty easy. If you have any questions, as always with these lessons, make sure you try to get a hold of us, either through the office hours or just send us a private message. So if you take a look at this today, grade 7s are going to be doing whole numbers and fractions and multiplication, and grade 8s will be doing two fractions. So if you take a look at this so far, taking a look at what the grade 8 should know from last year and the grade 7s need to see today, if we look at this, we've got 3 wholes times 2/3. So what that really means is we want 3 groups of pieces of 2/3. So if you look at our picture, we've got things broken into 1, 2, 3, and we've got 3 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3. Each one of these things has 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 2 pieces. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means there ends up actually being 6 pieces of 3. So we have our 3 strips. Each one of them has 2/3. So again, 3 pieces or 3 wholes times the 2/3 in each one is 6 pieces of 3. And for those of you that can't see it, if we took this one away and we moved it up here, we now have 1 whole. If we took this one away and moved it down here, we have another whole. That means this whole bar is gone now. And if you looked at it, what we really have is simply 2. So 6/3 is the same as saying 2 because 3 goes into 6 twice. So far, I don't think this is incredibly challenging, but let's take a quick peek at another one. Here we've got 5 times 3/4. So in this case, I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of boxes that each have 4 pieces. But now in each of these boxes, there's 3 pieces. So if we fill in each of these boxes, and I know most of you don't really love the modeling, but nonetheless, it might help you to understand. If we take a look at this, now we're going to say we have 3 pieces here, so we could move this one away, put it here. We could take this one, move it down here. We could take this one and move it over here. Now we have how many pieces? We've got 1 whole, we've got 2 wholes, we've got 3 wholes, so we've got 3 whole things and 3 pieces of 4. So the modeling works quite well, but now many of you are going to have noticed the pattern already and have gone, wait a minute, I could just multiply this and say 5 times 3 is 15, and that's 15 pieces of 4, and then you could simplify this fraction to go 4 goes into 15 3 times, and there's 3 pieces of 4 left. So yes, that is the same way to get the answer. That is the mathematical way to get the answer. This is the modeling way to get the answer. Okay? Grade 8s, you're going to look at things a little bit differently. I'm sorry if it's a little more confusing, but we're looking at today at 2/5 of 1/10. So what we start out with is we're saying of something. So let's start with our 10th first. So at the top, we put our 10th. We want 2/5 of that, which means we need to take this one block that's just 1/10 and break the pieces into 5. And we only want 2/5 of that piece. If you look at that, that means that every one of these boxes, though, should be broken into pieces of 5. If we did that the whole way along, we would have 50 pieces in the bottom. How many of those pieces have we actually colored? We've colored in 2. So we have 2 50ths. Some of you are going to go, oh, wow, this is kind of a mess, Mr. R. Well, not so bad, because now we can simplify this. They're both even, so we can make it 1/25. So really, the answer for 2/5 of 1/10 is 1/25. Again, some of you are going to look for the shortcut already and say 2 times 1 is 2, 5 times 10 is 50. Hey, look, we got the same answer we got here, which shortens to 1/25. But the whole purpose of having you model this today is that you can see that when you multiply, because normally when you multiply things, if we say 7 times 3, numbers get bigger. We say it's 21. When you multiply fractions, 2/5 and 1/10, the numbers actually get smaller. That's the whole point of the modeling today, is to show you that when I have a 10th and I take a fraction of the 10th, the number's actually going to get smaller. So the modeling kind of helps people see that, okay? For those of you going, what kind of gypsy magic was this? Let's take a quick look at this and go, all right, let's try it again. So 5/8 of 2/3. I made a bar that has thirds and I colored in 2. I need to now color in 5/8 of each piece of 2/3. So I'd color in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So that's 5/8 of 1/3 and 5/8 of another third. So that's 5/8 of 2/3. Then you could imagine we would have another piece here that would also be broken into pieces of 8. If you counted all of our pieces of 8 up, we'd end up with 24 pieces. We colored in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 pieces of 24. Some of you again would go, hey, I could have done that up here. 5 times 2 is 10. 8 times 3 is 24. Yes, you'd get that same number. Then you could divide both of these by 2 to get your lowest possible terms and get 5/12. So your answer of 5/8 times 2/3 is 5/12. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at doing the grade 7 piece with a number line. So if we look at this and we said 5 groups of 1/2, what we could do with a number line is we could go, well, here's my 1, 2, 3, and I've put halves in. So here's 1/2, here's 2 halves, 3, 4, 5. So 5 groups of 1/2 is 2.5. Okay. The modeling is nice and easy that way with a number line. Some of you will probably like that better. Let's try it again though if we have an improper fraction. So this time we've got 5 times 3 halves. If that was the case, we're going to go, I have 5 groups of 3 halves. So let's do 1, 2, 3. So that's one group. 1, 2, 3. That's 2 groups. 1, 2, 3. That's 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. That's 4 groups. 1, 2, 3. That's 5 groups. So I have my 5 groups of 3 halves, and the answer has to be 7.5. Okay. Some of you again are going to go, I know 5 times 3 is 15. That's all over 2. If I should make this into a regular fraction, I'm going to get 7.5. But the modeling shows you exactly how that would work. Last but not least, we've got the grade 8s using the grid model. So if we looked at something like 2/5 of 1/10, the easy way to model this with a grid would be to come over and say, here I'm going to break a square into pieces of 5. Notice I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces that run this way. I also now have 10 pieces that run this way. So I've got the box broken up into a grid that's 5 pieces by 10 pieces. Now what we want to do is say we've got 2/5 and 1/10, right? So if we have 1/10, that would be like coloring in this whole row. But I only have 2/5 of this row. So here's my 5 pieces. I only have these 2 pieces of that 1/10, which means I have 2 pieces out of however many pieces are in this box. And that turns out to be 50 pieces. So here I'd have 2 out of 50. For those of you going, do this once more, please. Let's take a look at this. So I've got 5/8 times 2/3. I broke this into 8 pieces that go this way. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces that run this way. I've got 3 pieces that run this way. So 1, 2, 3. So it says that I've got 2/3. So I've got, this is a third when I color them all in. This is a third if I color them all in. And I've got 5/8 of that. So here's 1/8 of that. Here's 2/8 of that. 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. So here's 5/8. So this little section in here is 5/8 of 2/3. And how many is that? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 pieces of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And holy cow, 8 times 3, 24, 5 times 2, 10. We can simplify this to 5 pieces of 12. And there's our answer. So grade 7 and 8s, your homework is here today. It's not an awful lot of questions, but there is a bit of modeling. Again, feel free to ask questions. If you think the modeling's wrong and want to check with us, send us a quick sample and we can let you know. And other than that, we'll talk to you guys again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.